Welcome to the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, your trusted source for expert guidance on aging safely and independently. Whether you're a caregiver, a family member, or a senior looking to stay secure at home and beyond, we've got you covered. From fall prevention and home modifications to financial safety and scam awareness, we provide practical tips to help you or your loved ones live with confidence. Tune in and empower yourself with the knowledge you need to navigate the challenges of aging. Let's make safety simple.
Welcome to today's episode of the Senior Safety Advice Podcast. In today's episode, we'll be discussing an incredibly important topic, that of emergency preparedness for seniors. We're going to explore how older adults can best prepare for unexpected situations and disasters. Whether you're a senior yourself, you're caring for an older loved one, or you just want to be informed, this episode is packed with valuable information to help keep our older population safe and ready for anything. Let's start by acknowledging that emergencies can happen to anyone at any time. But for seniors, these situations can present unique challenges. As we age, we might face mobility issues. Many of us rely on medications. Many of us have certain specific health needs that require extra consideration during a crisis. That's why it is crucial for older adults to have a solid emergency plan in place. First things first, let's talk about creating an emergency plan. This is the foundation of being prepared, and it is something that every senior should have. Your plan should include a detailed list of emergency contacts, including family members, friends, and neighbors who can check on you. It should also include information about any medical conditions you might have, any medications you take, and any allergies that you have. You should also have in the plan a designated meeting place in case of the need for evacuation. So that could be in a fire, earthquake, flooding. You need to know where you're meeting everybody so that everybody knows that everybody got out of the house or the apartment, whatever, safely. The other thing that your plan should include is an out-of-town contact who can relay messages if local communication is disrupted. So, a niece who lives in a totally different city from you that could keep everybody informed if there was a disaster like an earthquake. So keep in mind that it's not enough just to make this plan. You have to share it with your support network, and you have to practice it regularly. This way, everybody knows what to do when an emergency strikes, and you kind of can react with like a muscle memory. So let's discuss one of the most critical aspects of emergency preparedness for seniors, which is medication management. As I mentioned before, many older adults take at least one, but many take multiple medications daily. And in an emergency, access to these medications can be a matter of life and death. Here are some ways to ensure that you're prepared. You want to keep an up-to-date list of all your medications, including dosages and instructions. You want to store at least a week's supply of medications in a waterproof, portable container. If possible, it's better to have a 30-day supply of essential medications on hand at all times. And don't forget to include over-the-counter medications and medical supplies that you might use regularly. And remember, it's not just about having the medications, it's about being able to access them quickly and easily in an emergency. Another crucial aspect of emergency preparedness is addressing mobility issues. As we age, getting around can become more of a challenge, which can be especially problematic during an evacuation situation. In addition, your ability to move quickly and safely can make a huge difference during an emergency. With that in mind, here are some steps that you can take. First, keep walking aids like canes and walkers in an easily accessible location. Next, map out accessible evacuation routes from your home, considering your mobility limitations that you might have. Plan and practice the evacuation routes from your home to a place that can accommodate your mobility needs. You may want to, if it's available to you, register with local emergency management for evacuation assistance if you need it. You want to plan how you'll get to a safe location, including transportation options if you cannot drive yourself. And then you want to arrange for transportation assistance in advance if possible. For example, if you live in an area with hurricanes and you know one is heading in your direction, you want to, as soon as you know that it's coming in that direction in the next day or so, you want to make arrangements for that transportation. The other thing too is if you use a wheelchair that is electric, make sure that you have a backup manual wheelchair in case of a power outage. So moving on, let's talk about something that's often overlooked but is incredibly important too, and that is communication. In an emergency, being able to reach out for help or to stay informed is crucial, obviously. To that end, you'll want to make sure you have a charged cell phone with you at all times. You'll want to have a fully charged backup battery with you or a portable charger for your phone. You want to consider a medical alert system that allows you to call for help with the push of a button. And you want to keep a battery-powered or hand crank radio easily accessible so you can stay informed during a power outage. Communication is not just about technology, though. It's also about making sure your neighbors, friends, and family know to check on you during an emergency. So one of the most important things you can do to prepare for emergencies is to create an emergency supply kit, often called a go bag or a bug out bag. This should include water, 1 gallon per person per day for at least 3 days. It should also have non-perishable food for at least 3 days. It should include a flashlight and extra batteries for the flashlight, as well as a first aid kit and any necessary medical supplies or equipment that you might need. You should also put in copies of important documents like your ID, insurance cards, and medical information, as well as a written list of your medical needs and medications. And I want to add that it's vital to keep a written list of your medications on you at all times. Just keep it in your wallet or your purse, whether there's an emergency or not. You never know. I tripped and fell in a Target store a couple of years ago and broke my shoulder. The EMT showed up to take me to the hospital. Well, if I had not had my list of medications with me, there might have been something that they would have given me for pain or whatever that might have gone against a medication that I was on. So it's vital to make sure that you have that written medication list with you at all times. Another thing to put in your emergency kit is cash and spare change, at least 3 changes of clothes and some shoes. You want to make sure you keep your spare eyeglasses in there, hearing aid batteries, things that, like that, personal things, as well as personal hygiene items. And it is not a bad idea to include a whistle so you can signal for help. Again, if there's a tornado and you're stuck in the basement, you want to be sure that people know that you're down there. So I also want to give you a big tip too. If you have a pet, you want to be sure that you, in your emergency kit, also have supplies for the pet, as well as any medications that they might need, and important papers that they might have, such as vaccination records and things like that. You also want to be sure to know that not every emergency shelter will accept pets, so make sure you do know which ones do accept pets when in your area, as well as how to get to that particular shelter. Don't just show up at any shelter and hope they're going to take your dog or your cat, because they're not. So be sure that you take care of your pets as well as yourself. Now let's talk about something particularly relevant to seniors, which is sheltering in place. In some emergencies, it might be safer to stay where you are rather than to evacuate. Here's what you need to know. In cases like that, you want to be sure you have enough supplies and medications stocked up to last at least 2 weeks. So again, I'm talking about things like a hurricane where maybe the power would be out for 10 days or 2 weeks. You also want to know how to shut off the utilities in your apartment or your home, whatever. I'm talking about things like gas and electricity in case it's necessary. You also want to have a way to maintain a comfortable temperature. So if it's the winter time, you're going to want blankets. If it's the summertime, you would want battery-powered fans. And you want to make sure that your emergency supplies are kept in an easily accessible place. Remember, the key is to be as self-sufficient as possible until help arrives or the emergency passes. So I also want to address a topic that gets overlooked in times of stress like this, and that is the emotional and mental aspects of emergency preparedness. I mean, let's face it, emergencies are stressful and frightening, especially for older adults who might feel more vulnerable. So here are some things that you can do to reduce your stress during an emergency. You want to stay connected with family and friends because social support is crucial during a stressful time. So again, have your phone batteries charged and have a backup battery or power supply available. It's also good to have activities on hand that can keep your mind occupied. I'm talking about books or puzzles or crafts, things like that. If you take medication for anxiety or depression, make sure you have an adequate supply on hand. Again, I would recommend a 30-day supply just in case. And you need to know the signs of stress and anxiety and don't hesitate to seek help if you do need it, because taking care of your mental health is just as important as preparing physically. All right, so let's talk about some practical steps you can take to make your home safer should an emergency happen. So if they aren't already in place in your home, you want to install smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. And remember to check and change those batteries regularly. A good time to do this is to do something like picking a holiday. Daylight savings time, not a holiday, but a memorable day, or New Year's Day, something like that. And then you change all the batteries in your detectors every year on that day. You also want to make sure you have a fire extinguisher that you can keep in an easily accessible place, and you need to know how to use it. And for seniors who are frail, having an extinguisher, it's a great idea, but it might be very difficult for you to use, or like if you have arthritis, it might be difficult to push the button. So you could consider also getting something like a fire blanket, which would help with a small fire. Just something to think about. Another thing to do is to remove tripping hazards from your floors. So, take throw rugs out. You don't want to be trying to escape and then you catch your foot and you fall. You also don't want to have clutter sitting on the floor. You don't want to have to keep crossing electrical cords in an emergency. So, that should be a given anyway. You don't want to be walking over them all the time. They should be routed to where you're not having to cross them. Because the idea is to ensure clear paths to all the exits in your house. Also, it is a good idea to consider installing grab bars in the bathroom if you haven't done that, and handrails on your stairs if you don't have that. And you also want to make sure your important items are kept within reach. They're easily accessible, packed in something that you can just grab and go without having to look for them or having to dig through boxes to find them or whatever. These simple steps can go a long way in preventing accidents and making your home safer during an emergency. As we wrap up, I want to emphasize the importance of staying informed. Know what type of emergencies are most likely in your particular area and how to respond to them. Sign up for local emergency alerts and warnings, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask for help. Reach out to your local senior center, community organizations, or your local emergency management office for resources and assistance in preparing for emergencies. And also keep in mind that emergency preparedness isn't just a one-time task. It's an ongoing process. You don't just set things up and then forget about it. This means you need to review and update your emergency plan regularly. You need to check your emergency supplies and replace any expired items. And again, you need to stay connected to your support network. So in conclusion, while emergencies are obviously scary, being prepared can help you give you peace of mind and can increase your chances of staying safe. By taking the time to create an emergency plan, preparing a go bag or bug out bag, managing your medications, addressing your mobility challenges, if any, and staying informed, you're taking crucial steps to protect yourself.
That's it for today's episode of the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, helping you and your loved ones stay safe, independent, and informed. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with others who could benefit. For more expert tips and resources, visit seniorsafetyadvice.com. And remember, staying safe starts with staying informed. Until next time, take care and stay safe.